In the autumn of 1929, America was a nation intoxicated by its own success. For 9 years, the stock market hadn't just grown, it had mutated into a religion. This was the era of Aurea Libertas, golden liberty, where the common man believed he had finally broken the shackles of poverty. Through the magic of the ticker, middle-class teachers, janitors, and clerks poured their life savings into margin accounts, buying stocks with money they didn't have, betting on a future that only went up. The air in New York smelled of expensive cigars and gasoline. But beneath the jazz and the gold, the clock was already ticking. The status quo, the existing state of affairs, was not a foundation, but a thin sheet of ice over a dark, deep ocean. The first crack appeared on a Thursday morning, 11 a.m. A sudden, unexplained wave of selling hit the floor. The noise was a physical weight, a cacophony of desperate men trying to shed their shares before the floor dropped out. Then, the silence of information. The ticker tape, the only lifeline to the outside world, began to lag. It fell behind by minutes, then an hour. Behind the glass walls of the galleries, men realized they were flying blind. They were selling into a vacuum. By noon, the panic had turned lethal. 11 prominent speculators saw their paper empires vanish. They chose the window over the sidewalk. The air on Wall Street smelled of salt, adrenaline, and ruin. This was the momentum mori, a reminder of mortality for the American economy. The permanent plateau had turned into a precipice. At 1:30 p.m., the White Knight arrived. Richard Whitney, vice president of the exchange, strode onto the floor, the hand-picked agent of the city's most powerful bankers. He moved with the gravitas of a man who could command the tide. He walked to the post for U.S. Steel, and in a voice heard over the chaos, placed a massive bid for 10,000 shares at $205. He then moved from post to post, throwing around the banker's rescue pool like a shield. It was a bluff of historic proportions. For a moment, the bleeding stopped. The market stabilized. The city exhaled. They believed the Pax Economica had been restored. They believed the elite had saved them. They were wrong. Over the weekend, the fear had curdled into a cold certainty. Tuesday, October 29th, the day the music died. When the opening bell rang, there were no buyers, only ghosts. The White Knight was gone. In his place was a tabula rasa, a clean slate, but one written in red ink. Within the first 30 minutes, $2 billion in value evaporated. This wasn't a correction, it was a liquidation. Wealthy men, eating eggs in silk robes, were penniless by lunch, wandering the gray canyons of Manhattan in a daze. The heat of the exchange floor had given way to the cold dampness of a rainy New York evening. The dream had been a fata morgana. The crash was the spark that lit the dry tinder of a broken global economy. It destroyed the one thing a market cannot survive without: confidence. As the sun set over Wall Street that Tuesday, the roaring 20s were over. The annus horribilis had only just begun. The long, cold night of the 1930s had settled over the world, and for millions, the sun wouldn't truly rise again for a decade.